Now, the new atheists, as they're called, have tried to come out with mathematical theorems that would explain how, from a singularity, you could get another universe. One of them had to be like our Earth, okay? But talk about how they were trying to do this. In other words, what was their hope?
Well, there's two directions that they went. One direction was to say, well, the space-time theorems presume that general relativity describes the movements of all the massive particles in the universe. And they said, well, what about before matter exists? What about that very early era, the first 10 millionth of a trillionth of a trillionth of a trillionth of a second? That's when we'd expect quantum mechanics to play a significant role in governing the dynamics of the universe. Maybe quantum gravity actually permits a loophole where we don't have a beginning to the universe. So there's lots of papers being published in the scientific literature today.
Is it true that when you get far enough in, that quantum cosmology basically says that Einstein's theories about gravity, okay, all of a sudden don't operate the same way?
No, they're saying his theories of gravity do operate, but they said they're complemented by the impact that quantum mechanics has at that extremely early era, and that the quantum mechanics may actually allow for a loophole. However, for that loophole to be valid, the quantum space-time fluctuations during that era have to be quite large. And astronomers recently have made measurements of the images of distant quasars, because as the light travels from these distant quasars, the inherent quantum space-time fluctuations get magnified. They actually predict that the images will become blurry after they go through a lot of space travel, also in proportion to the wavelength of the light. So far, astronomers have only seen sharp images of these distant quasars and blazars, which means the quantum space-time fluctuations can't be large. So it's sustaining the space-time theorems. Now, we haven't explored the entirety of the quantum gravity era. As many physicists have pointed out, to get a complete picture, we need a particle accelerator from here to the most distant quasar, which is not going to be financed anytime soon. So,
what does that tell you about how the God of the Bible, the creator of the universe, was the great designer? Are they able to tell the differences yet in what they need and what they don't have?
What I'm seeing happening amongst my peers is that 100% of the observational and experimental measurements that we can make on the universe, 100% of it testifies there must be a God that created the universe and designed the universe and all of its components so that we humans can exist. What I see the atheists doing is they're appealing to things that we can't know, to those parts of the universe we're not able to explore or make any measurements. And they're speculating based on what we don't know, maybe there's some escape hatch. The very fact that they're forced to appeal to non-empirical arguments for their atheism tells me how weak their atheistic position must be. And also, as we astronomers begin to press back on the frontiers of ignorance, as we push back, it's revealing more and more evidence for the God of the Bible. The atheists are being pushed into a smaller and smaller corner of speculation about what we don't know.